What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be reviewing the iPod Touch 5th generation. Apple approximately updates this every 2 years. The last one came out in 2010 along with the iPhone 4. If you ever held the iPhone 5 and if you thought that it was light and thin, you would be extremely impressed with this, because this is even thinner than iPhone 5 and even lighter. This came out in 2012, which is approximately 6 months ago, as the time that I'm making this video. So let's review this thing. Basically, I'm going to talk about what made me want to buy this. The first thing that was so impressive, but now it doesn't really matter to me, is the camera. There's two cameras. There's a 720p front-facing camera, which is a 1.3 megapixel camera, and the back one is a 5 megapixel camera, and it shoots 1080p. The one thing that you will notice that I didn't really know that it would have is flash. Yes, it does have a flash, which is pretty cool, but I don't really take any picture or video. However, the picture and the video are pretty cool. I don't think the people who buys this will even use it, because this is not an iPhone, so I don't expect people to even use the camera. I hope that Apple, instead of putting the money on camera, they should have used it on the processor. This has a dual-core 800 MHz processor, which is an A5 processor, and it's about 2 years old. It came in iPad 2, and that processor is in iPad mini right now. And the same processor is also in iPhone 4S. On iPad 2 and iPad mini, the processor is clocked at 1 GHz, and in this iPod Touch and the iPhone 4S, the processor is clocked at 800 MHz. The processor is not good. That's why I don't think it's future-proof at all. I expect this to last about 1 year, and after that I hope that Apple releases another iPod Touch with hopefully another the new processor, which will come out, hopefully the A7 chip. This one has an A5 chip. Okay, another thing that made me want to buy this is Siri. When the iPhone 4S had Siri and I watched a lot of YouTube video, it looked amazing. Siri just made me want to buy this just for Siri. Now that I use it, I don't really use Siri much or at all. I only used Siri the first week when I bought this thing. After that, I never used it again, until just to show off friends how cool it is, how cool Siri is. But if you just buy it for your own enjoyment, you're not gonna have that much, because it only lasts for a week. So another thing that made me want to buy this is the display. This is a 1136 by 640p display, 16 by 9, so all videos look amazing. It's 326 pixel per inch, so pretty high pixel per inch pixel density, but it's not amazing like the Droid DNA or any other Android phones. The display is amazing. The viewing angles are amazing because it's an IPS display. And let's talk about another thing that made me want to buy this, which is the battery life. When I look at any handheld device or tablet, I look at the battery life. I love iPad 1 because it had 11 hours of battery life. Now with the software updates, it doesn't get as much battery as it used to, but I love that I could use it for a whole day without putting it in charge. I could watch as many movies as I want and still have charge. So this has, in paper, it has 8 hours of battery life, 8 hours of screen on video playback, but I was getting about 5 to 6. 8 hours is probably not very accurate. The battery life is not impressive. The only reason why is probably because it's extremely thin. Let's talk about if this is actually worth the money. It costs $300 for 32 gig and $400 for 64 gig. I have the 32 gig, which is good enough to put pretty much any apps that I want. Some apps like Asphalt 7, Need for Speed Most Wanted, they're like a gig, so it doesn't really take that long to fill up space. because when you shoot a couple of minutes of 1080p video with the back-facing camera, you will suddenly notice that there's a space warning, there's a storage warning saying that you don't have enough space. So I had to delete a lot of stuff. I didn't really expect to delete stuff because I thought 32 gig was enough, but apparently it's not. One of the reasons that people buy iOS is because of the App Store. There's more than 1 million apps, and pretty much anything from healthy fitness to food, everything, pretty much any games that you want, it first comes in iOS and then it comes in Android. So now that we're done talking about the App Store, let's talk about the gaming performance. Right now I'm playing Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is one of the most graphics demanding games on iOS and Android. As you could see, it's running fine. It's getting below 30 FPS. I could feel it because it doesn't feel smooth. Most of the new phone also struggles to play this game. Even though the processor is not that good, the graphics power on this iPod Touch and the A5 chip is pretty good. So as you could see, it's running fine. Not getting as smooth it should be, but it's running fine. So now that I'm done talking about the stuff that I wanted to talk about, the last thing that I recommend you to buy is a case. Right here, this is like a hybrid case. It only costs $5. I really recommend you to buy a case because the first thing I did when I bought this is I dropped it, because the back plate is slippery, and with case like this, the outside is made out of rubber, so you get a grip. This case only costs $5. There's a lot of case that's under $5 on Amazon. You just have to look for it, and I hope that you find it and buy a case. The iPod Touch is a one of a kind. There is nothing out there that competes against this. With ultra thinness, the amazing camera, the amazing display, and the semi-decent battery life, this is definitely a go. You should definitely buy this. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe.